Welcome to the Writing of God. Today we start a new series that is so exciting. We are going to unfold for you centuries of prophecy, starting with the prophet Daniel, that will reveal to you the mysterious secret of the Star of Bethlehem. Coming right up, don't miss it.
Join ancient language linguist, author, educator, and biblical archaeologist, Dr. Miles Jones, as he explores the writing of God.
Welcome to the Writing of God. We have such an exciting teaching today. We're going to talk about Daniel, the most incredible, to my mind, prophet in the Bible because of the extent of his visions and his understanding of them. He had a direct cable to the Almighty, and he foresaw the entirety of history in such precise detail from his time, starting in the 7th century, all the way up to the time of the Messiah and Jerusalem, because he was yearning for Jerusalem. But when he comes back into the picture, is at the Star of Bethlehem. So what is the connection between Daniel and the Star of Bethlehem, the birth of the Messiah? Well, he was living in a time when Jerusalem was in ruin and the Judeans had been exiled to Babylon by the Almighty because they had simply turned away from him. The story comes from Ezekiel chapter 8 and following, where it talks about how badly the Israelites had fallen away from God and were worshiping pagan gods in the temple. In fact, Ezekiel was sent out to find and mark all the believers that were left in the city. And God himself, the Shekinah glory of Jehovah, rose up out of the Ark of the Covenant, and he hovers over it. And then he moves to the threshold of the Holy of Holies, and he stays there for a while. And then he moves out of the temple into the courtyard, and there he hovers and waits. And then he goes to the edge of the city, and he waits. He waits to see if anyone knows or cares or can perceive even that the Shekinah glory of God himself, which was the heart of his people, is leaving the temple because of their iniquity. And he ruled that they would be conquered and put into slavery. He takes the promised land away from them. Indeed, Nebuchadnezzar comes in and he conquers the city and he destroys the first temple. This was the judgment of Jehovah against his people because they had simply fallen away from him, fallen away from the temple. They were praying to Tammuz. The women were weeping for Tammuz, and the men were doing sunrise services to Semiramis. So it was an incredible story, and it destroyed Jerusalem, and now Daniel is in the story here, because what it says when the Shekinah glory of God rose up out of the temple, and he waited and he waited and he waited at the gates of the city, and when it got no response, it went to the east. What is to the east? Babylon, the major power of the time, and Nebuchadnezzar, the king who had come in and destroyed the first temple. He was to the east, and so was Daniel, and so was Gabriel, the archangel he sent to redeem the Israelite people and bring them back to the promised land. It started like this. King Nebuchadnezzar had a vision of the great image with feet of clay, with the head of gold and feet of clay. And none of his wise men or astrologers could understand this dream, this vision that kept reoccurring to him. So, of course, being a king, he had them all executed. And yet, Daniel stood forth, and he was able to interpret King Nebuchadnezzar's vision. The vision of Nebuchadnezzar as the King of Kings, the most powerful king in the entire world, and then the empires that would follow him all the way down to the Greeks and the Romans, the time of the Messiah. And Nebuchadnezzar, who was so distraught over not understanding this vision that he killed all of his wise men and astrologers, falls down on his knees and worships Daniel and his God, and sends a decree out throughout the empire that Daniel's God would be worshipped and respected throughout his empire. Now, this should not surprise anyone. Daniel and his cohort, named in Persian Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they had become such fine learners. They were blessed by God with wisdom and skill and all understanding and learning. The king found them 10 times better than all the wise men in his kingdom. Indeed, this is the godly yardstick that we should be paying attention to when we teach our children, which is our responsibility, not a government responsibility. So it should surprise no one that the king promoted Daniel and gave him great gifts and great riches. He made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon, which was the head of the empire, and chief administrator over all the wise men and astrologers of Babylon. Daniel was made chief of the wise men and astrologers of Babylon, who gained fame as the Eastern school of the Magi, which became renowned throughout the world. Writers like Philo and Josephus and others, many others, praised these wise men to the heavens. So it should surprise no one that he passed all this information and teaching down to his Magi, who were most likely Hebrews, every single one of them, as far as we know, because they were certainly following Daniel's purpose. There's no doubt about that. And what was Daniel's purpose? Daniel could see the entirety of history. When one of his visions, Daniel's vision of the four beasts, which we see again in Revelation, saying, I was watching in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven. He came to the Ancient of Days, Jehovah himself. The Son of Man, this is our first prophecy of the Messiah right here. And it continues to be a theme of Daniel's prayers. And one of the most important prayers he did, remember, Jerusalem had fallen away from him, but Daniel had not. And he prayed a prayer, a powerful prayer of repentance for the people and the city of Jerusalem, which lay in ruins. O Lord, according to all your righteousness, I pray, let your anger and your fury be turned away from your city, Jerusalem, your holy mountain of Zion, because for our sins and for the iniquities of our fathers, Jerusalem and your people are a reproach to all those around us. Now, therefore, our God, hear this prayer of your servant and his supplications, and for the Lord's sake cause your face to shine on your sanctuary, which is desolate. You remember Ezekiel? The Shekinah glory of God himself had left the sanctuary in Jerusalem, and the king had come in, King Nebuchadnezzar had come in and destroyed it and taken the people into slavery for their iniquity, for their falling away from God. And to Daniel in the east, remember in Ezekiel, he goes east, the Shekinah glory of God goes east, and due east is the kingdom, the empire of Babylon. And there we find his archangel appearing to Daniel. But he has a mission. He has a mission that is going to last for the next 6 centuries. And Daniel is going to be the chief player. I am Gabriel, who stands in the presence of Yehovah. Gabriel appeared to Daniel in dreams and visions often. Powerful dreams, powerful visions that left him pale and weak for days afterward. Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, the vision of the 4 beasts, touched me and talked with me and said, "Oh, Daniel, I am now come forth to give you skill and understanding. 70 weeks are determined upon your people and upon your holy city to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy." This is a blueprint for the Israelites to regain the holy city, the promised land, and the relationship with Yehovah. Daniel prepared his magi for a multi-generational mission that was to last for 6 centuries before it culminated. He entrusted them to present his riches of gold, frankincense, and myrrh to the prophesied Messiah. Know and therefore understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and rebuild Jerusalem unto the arrival of the Messiah, he told them exactly when the time of the Messiah would start. When Jerusalem was rebuilt, and it was Herod the Great who rebuilt the temples, the fortresses, the roads, and the aqueducts in and around Jerusalem. The Magi, at that moment when they heard of the rebuilding, they began to watch the heavens for the star of the King Messiah. And that would be Jupiter, the king star, which is a planet. But from here, it looks like the brightest star in the sky. And that was the start of the culmination of their mission. And there's more story. We'll be right back.
Dr. Miles Jones will be right back with more of The Writing of God.
Did you know the original gospel was written in Hebrew? That Hebrew book of Matthew was thought to have been lost. But our institute has recovered various manuscripts of the Hebrew Gospels from all over the world. And boy, what a story that is to tell. We are now translating them, beginning with Matthew, which is now illustrated in our 4-part video teaching series, Unlocking the Hebrew Book of Matthew. This video outlines the crucial differences between the Hebrew Gospels and the Greek. Welcome to a whole new world of the Hebrew perspective of Yeshua HaMashiach. This is an enormous faith builder. The actual words of the Messiah from the Hebrew. It is a teaching you will never forget. At the Sermon on the Mount, Yeshua was teaching Torah. Get this 4-part teaching series at our website, thewritingofgod.com.
That's The Writing of God, P.O. Box 294047, Kerrville, Texas 78029, or online at thewritingofgod.com. That's thewritingofgod.com.
The most important biblical discovery since the Dead Sea Scrolls is the Hebrew Gospels. That's why we have created a 10-lesson video series with a beautifully illustrated personal study journal so you can learn how to discourse and debate these very important manuscripts and their contents. Also, included in the package, the course package, is the Sons of Zion versus the Sons of Greece. Get it at writingofgod.com. I don't know about you, but I find the story of Daniel to be so incredible the accuracy with which he prophesied the coming century. Now, those of you who want more detail than we can cover in an episode, you should go to our book, The Sons of Zion versus the Sons of Greek. Much more detail in there, and then go back to Daniel and study it all over again. Now, we are translating these and bringing this information to you from the Hebrew Gospels, which we are translating. We translated Revelation, which you can get on our website, writingofgod.com, and we're translating Matthew. Now, I recommend that you sign up for the Revelation of the Month Club. It's only $10, but you get the chapters from Matthew as soon as we translate them. You get them right in your home, right on your email. So think about that, supporting our work through the Revelation of the Month Club.
Send your gift to The Writing of God, P.O. Box 294027, Kerrville, Texas 78029, or online at thewritingofgod.com. That's The Writing of God, P.O. Box 294047, Kerrville, Texas 78029, or online at thewritingofgod.com.